Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is Legend of the Northern Blade, a completed Mura manhwa that I've read to the end, which is 202 chapters in total. Its main character is Jin Mu-won, the son and supposed heir of the Northern Heavenly Sect, a Murim sect whose purpose it was to protect the central plains of the Murim world from the threat of Silent Night, an entity which looks to threaten and destroy the central plains. Of course, I noted that he was the supposed heir, because one day, Mu-won's world was shattered as his father Jin Kwan-ho chooses to take the blame and pays it with his own life for an event that he wasn't aware of, causing Mu-won to be lost and the Northern Heavenly Sect to collapse. Now, Mu-won will have to move forward without the backing of his father or sect. Be prepared for ups, downs, betrayal, revenge, love, and hate as Mu-won looks to grow up and maybe find the answers that he's looking for. The story is 9 out of 10. With a solid overall story that has the reader follow the journey of Jin Mu-won, this manhwa, in my opinion, doesn't lack anything when looking at its whole plot, start to end. It has enough mystery and questions to get you intrigued with the overall storyline, enough breadcrumbs lying around to come up with your own conclusions that could or could not be wrong, and a solemn and fitting ending arc that wraps everything up in a nice little bow. The characters are 10 out of 10. Ju-won is a human through and through. Unlike some of the Mura manhwas that I've previously covered on this channel, Ju-won starts at the very bottom of the Murim totem pole, so to speak, and has to truly make his way through this unforgiving world. He has weaknesses, but also allies and friends that will be there to face his enemies with him. The art is also 10 out of 10, with a very gritty and dark art style that comes from what I believe to be trying to show a lot of expression and power through the action panel it presents. Legend of the Northern Blade achieves a great balance between its powerful action scenes contrasted by its more soft and emotional non-combat focused ones. So if you're a fan of Mura manhwas and want something to binge through that's already completed while not having an immediately overpowered protagonist, then The Legend of the Northern Blade would interest you. This next manhwa is The Life of a Returning Officer, a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 86 on. The protagonist of this manhwa is Choi Jung-hyuk, the head of the Crime Investigation Intelligence team who passed away one day due to a mysterious accident. He wakes up though to find out that he returned to the past, specifically 1997. What would you do if you found yourself back in your youth to have a second chance at life? Being the ever so dutiful and justice-driven person that he is, Jung-hyuk sees this second chance at life to be the greatest opportunity to catch the criminals that walk the streets, weed out all the corruption, while also ensuring his and his family's wealth and well-being. Will things go so easily though? The story is 8 out of 10. Another chance at life for a police officer is a spin on the modern regression genre that I haven't had the opportunity to read before this manhwa. To be quite honest, it's actually got me quite hooked. Catching bad guys left, right, and center through experience, cunning, wit, and general physical abilities makes Jung-hyuk's current situation quite appealing and fun to read along with. The characters are 7 out of 10. With that strong justice and upright character, Jung-hyuk resembles that dream cop that's usually portrayed in movies, TV shows, etc., where they can do no wrong and they're able to catch the bad guy. Other than Jung-hyuk, there isn't much detail for a lot of the other characters due to a more episodic crime show pacing. The art is 8 out of 10. From detailed character illustrations to the very backgrounds and environments that Jung-hyuk finds himself in, you as the reader may find yourselves curious as to the locations or areas of interest that Jung-hyuk is involved in. So if you're a fan of modern regression manhwas similar to Medical Return from my previous videos, but with the focus being on a police officer instead of a doctor, then make sure to try out The Life of a Returning Officer. More Nice Sis is the title of our next work to look over. It's a romance manhwa with 112 chapters that I've read to completion. Yiren, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is the name of its main character. One of the two daughters in a noble household in a fantasy setting, Yiren has always had to be one of the many to try and cater to her younger and more sickly sister Riel. She lived this way until it became second nature to her. Of course, this isn't how the story will continue, as Yuren fell in love with someone, but that someone ended up having an intimate relationship with Riel, much to Yuren's dismay. This caused Yuren to go over the edge and realize that Riel is only after the things that Yuren has because it's Yuren's, not because Riel actually wants it. Well, now it's time to find a way out. Time to no longer be the nice sister. The story is 8 out of 10. Considering that it's an already completed manhwa, the overall direction and plot is quite an emotional roller coaster. Think of a Cinderella story, but Cinderella having to grasp the Prince Charming herself so that she has a chance at happiness. Of course, considering some of the more common tropes in romantic fantasy manhwas, Yuren's connection reaches farther than they initially appear. The characters are 9 out of 10. With the emphasis on Yuren's emotional struggle and having to make way for her sister all throughout her childhood and early adulthood, Yuren has a lot of character development ahead. Her naturally kind demeanor and past struggles will help both her and her partner in numerous ways. The art is 8 out of 10. Given the romance fantasy backdrop, I believe most viewers will understand what I mean by a lovey-dovey focus in a more soft and light art style. The other part that I personally like is its use of a more light pastel color palette that helps give that softer tone to it. So if you're a fan of romantic fantasy manhwas and are looking for another completed title for you to binge through with a main character that wants to live for herself instead of her sister for once, then No More Nice Sis would be a good one to take a look at. Our next manhwa to look over is Broadcast Genius Youngest Writer, a regression manhwa that I've read up to chapter 20 on. The focus of this story is on Yeonwoo, a writer whose life takes a downward spiral after a producer constantly schemes against her. This descent when faced with the truth that she lived causes her to pass away from a heart attack. Of course, when she opens her eyes, she finds herself 20 years in the past as the youngest writer in a team. Now, with a second chance at her career, she focuses on ensuring that she won't fall into any pitfalls and schemes of anyone that will get in her way while trying to progress her career. Will it be successful, or will she end up failing once again? The potential is 7 out of 10. Modern regression for a person involved in the show business is something that we've looked at before in some of the titles I previously covered. While 20 chapters isn't long enough yet to cement itself in a particular plot direction, it's at least enough of an experience for those who are fans of the writing and production of shows. And given that nature, from actors, production companies, colleagues, and other writers and staff, they haven't had the time to be expanded upon since they were just introduced. The art is 7 out of 10 as well. An overall decent art style that doesn't tie itself to any particular genre, other than modern of course, due to the nature of moving from one project to another. So if you're a fan of modern regression manhwas in the writer production space similar to the producer's Second Life or Genius Artist's Random Studio from my previous videos and want to follow something from its initial start, then take a look at Broadcast Genius Youngest Writer. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of video I update impressions for manhwa that I previously covered. Today's highlight is Heavenly Grand Archive's Young Master, which I've now read up to chapter 113 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Our ever so calm and collected Bomhang has been traveling all around the world of Morim experiencing various events post Hugong's death, which we of course know isn't the case as he is now Bomhang. After being fully acclimated to his surroundings and creating a troupe of elites that follow his every order, Bomhang and his motley crew are quite the famous individuals now. Of course, Bomhang doesn't forget to make sure that he continues growing ever more powerful, from absorbing rare elixirs of high value to outsmarting opponents who underestimate him to benefit both him and his people. The 30+ chapters have cast an impression of a Muram manhwa, yes, but almost an overpowered slice of life in a Muram world instead. And I must say, it's quite a satisfying one at that. My previous scores for this manhwa were 6 out of 10 for story, 7 out of 10 for art, and 8 out of 10 for characters. The story goes up slightly to a 6.5 out of 10 as I would still consider it to be more of an overall slow burn. It has picked up the pace a bit but lacks a clear direction for the overall plot, since it hasn't touched it in a while. It doesn't take away from my enjoyment, it just leaves out an overarching story point. The art goes up 1 point to 8 out of 10 as, in addition to the amazing aura that the manhwa and art style is able to display, the sheer amount of scenes and comedic styles that some of the panels and faces that the characters make are truly gorgeous. Some might even say meme-worthy, to be quite honest with you. The characters also go up 1 point to 9 out of 10. As we continue to see more characters introduced/reintroduced as they were part of Hugong's past at some point, and due in part to that slow burn style, there's enough time to actually delve into the characters that are introduced and give them proper detailing and background to overall give a better sense of the whole picture, not just from Bomhang's side. Heavenly Grand Archive's Young Master has been an entertaining read. It provides a Morum action experience but also has many other parts to it, from its comedic nature to the more emotional sides of human connections, both good and bad. It's something I would heavily recommend if any of what I talked about today sounds interesting to you. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Heavenly Grand Archive's Young Master. And that wraps up this week's recommendations. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.